Hello everyone. I, CS Siddharth Dwivedi, would like to welcome all of you on behalf of WIRC for today's webinar on Tally Summit 2020. Today's topic is Internal and Statutory Audit, Tally Audit Features, Multi-Currency. And the speaker is CA Amit Sir. Now, without further ado, I would request Amit Sir to take the charge of the webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Siddharth sir. I know it is little challenging Sunday evening that we are teaching internal audit and statutory audit to people, but nevertheless, since the responsibility is given to me, I'll try and do my justice to whatever that is the job that is given to me. Okay, is my screen share visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me put my webcam off so that the visibility would be better. Okay. Now, to begin with this topic of internal and statutory audit, first thing we need to understand that when it comes to internal audit, it's more of a management audit, or what would I call it as a more of an application of mind. Whereas statutory audits are typically governed by the statute, a particular act under which the audit is carried out. The purpose of the audit is defined by the statute. In case of internal audit, it is the purpose of the audit which is defined by the auditor himself or by the management request. So we need to understand the difference between the two and how we can utilize Tally for both the purposes. Now, before I begin with this, let me just share the way I normally classify. This may not be the only way to classify the auditees. What we do is that we normally classify our auditees into these three types of auditees. If you can see this pyramid that I have made, you have these auditees where there are less than 50 PCs. These are the organizations where, as of today, as I understand, Tally typically rules. I mean, you'll typically find all those organizations with less than 50 PCs are using Tally. Most of them, at least 90-95% of them. Then comes the next stage of organizations where there are more than 50 PCs but less than 250 PCs. Now, these organizations typically Tally is used as an accounting tool, because for their operational needs, Tally at times becomes insufficient because they kind of outgrow the size of Tally. And more than 200 PCs, they normally go for SAP, Navision. Those are the type of softwares. But nevertheless, my experience still goes, and I have experienced that their accounts department is still using Tally, and the control is still remains on Tally entries, despite of the fact that Navision or SAP or any other tool that is being used. Now, further drill down this auditee classification. Sorry. If you are concentrating on the bottom of the pyramid, where there are more than less than 5 PCs, number of pieces between 5 to 50, and more than 50. If there are less than 5 PC organization, typically there will not be any need for internal audit as such normally, because normally the owner would be knowing every single transaction, the management would be knowing every single transaction. What will be required at as an auditor's end or as a consultant or a professional end is that you need to understand what is his requirement, because he may or may not be an accounting champion, he may or may not be a Tally expert. So you'll have to also go one step ahead, configure his Tally properly, implement his Tally features for him, and earn revenue for you and give revenue for the management as well. Now, this is the typically what Pankaj sir had yesterday mentioned in one of his nice slides, something like 40 crore rupees of monetization that is going to happen out of his yesterday's outstanding management. This is similar to that, what can happen. So we should have a clarity as to with what type of organization are we dealing with. If you're dealing with this smaller organization where there are less than 5 PCs, it will be essential for us to first of all understand and configure the Tally itself. The lots of features that you have learned in last 7 days and will be further learning in the next 10 days. These are the organizations where these features are 99% not used. These are the typically organizations where they know their business, but they don't know their accounting, and they're just looking at Tally either to generate invoices or to record the invoices or to prepare books of accounts, so on and so forth. So it becomes very essential for you to go and configure them and then utilize those reports. So that will be a value to them, and there will be a value to you as well. The most potential organization is these organizations where there are more than 5 but less than 50 PCs. This is where your services as internal auditor would be required, because there would be some of the features of Tally they would have already installed, but they may or may not be utilizing those features properly, or some of the features may not be utilized at all. So it becomes very essential that they may be doing some duplication of work using Tally, which need to be avoided. And the third and the most efficient place is more than 50 PCs. More than 50 PCs are the type of organization where typically a control perspective audit is required. Some kind of an internal audit is required. Some kind of an independent review of accounts is required. What happens typically is that such are the organizations where it is not possible that the owner can control every single transaction every day. It is physically impossible for the owner to physically control every single transaction that is happening, because you can just imagine all 50 people, there's only one owner out of the 50 PCs, so 49 PCs, 49 employees, they're doing various different activities according to whatever responsibility that they have. So in such scenarios, it becomes very essential that the duplication of records, the reconciliation between records can be avoided if all the records are properly maintained inside Tally or using Tally. Okay, let me go to the next stage. I am using this particular formula as some basis for internal audit. Internal audit need not be with this formula only. I have decided that I will be using this formula, which I thought as the easiest formula, which all of us know. Okay, now what happens with the first stage of the formula? First stage of the formula is my sales figure. Now let me go back to my Tally screen. Okay, I have these two companies. These are two live companies of mine. I am this is one Vaishnavan Associate, which is my chartered accountancy firm, and VServe is the consulting activity which I carry out, and I do Tally business mainly into this. If I have these two companies and I need to know what is my entire status, normally with this more than 50 PC type of companies, you will find there are a lot of entities are either advised by chartered accountant or out of their own interest they create multiple entities. So they have one or two flagship entities where the revenue is generated, and then they have couple of parking entities where the revenue is parked. Now in such circumstances, it becomes very essential for them to know what is the consolidated figures of these two companies of theirs. In such cases, Tally gives you a fantastic feature. I'm just showing you this. If you have both the companies open, you can just go to company info. You have this option called create a group company. Okay, in my case, I have already created a company for my group. So if you can see this, Amit Group Company is what I have already created. I'm selecting this company as Amit Group Company, and now I'm taking you to the profit and loss account. Let me change the period to 1718. Now this is the profit and loss account of my entire group. Now I want to see it break up company wise, so I can simply say auto column and company. Now I'm in a position to see the group company as well as the breakup of all the companies in it. Most of the time, this is one of the requirements of the customers, that they need to know how to see this. Now this group company I have just created, it's not that you need to do data entry. The data will be automatically picked up. When you create a group company, you just need to have those two companies selected. If you can go and see the details, in sales, you will find that there is one professional services rendered, which is my chartered accountancy firm, and the rest of the ledgers are coming from the consulting firm, right? So this is how the ledgers and the balances would be picked up, and a consolidated scene can be always expressed and understood. Same is the case with staff expenses. Now, because it is suitable to me, I have configured my staff cost as a direct cost. What I can do next is that I can always look for a percentage, so that I will be able to check what is the percentage of each of the expenses vis-a-vis sales. Okay. Now this becomes one of the most attractive reports for management, which management can verify on a regular basis. This is now because we are comparing two separate companies. We can check this. You can see the first column has a group company, and the next two columns are the next two companies. We can see exactly the same report using each company month-wise as well. Let me just run you through those reports. Okay. Let me shut this group company for the time being. You can see balance sheet also for the group company. Similarly, now if you see this company of mine, where we serve consultants, what the data that we have right now here is the SBU which I am handling. We serve is a network firm. We have multiple offices, and this is only one SBU data that I am comparing. Now, because I want to see it as Amit's group, I am only interested in my SBU's data, because this is what the turnover that I own. This is the turnover, this is the record, this is the books of accounts that I own. Rest all will be done by separate SBU owners and partners of mine all across India. So this is how you can see a consolidated kind of thing. This consolidation does not affect my each individual company. My each individual database remains separate and intact. Okay. Now let me shut down this group company for the time being. Let me go to this company. I can check it as yearly. So now I can compare 17-18 vis-a-vis 18-19. Again, the same thing. I can see the profitability at 12. And I can compare the profitability for 2 years. The other way around, I can press enter and see it for every month as well. Or I can simply select 1 year itself. I'll change the period to 17. And I can check it now on a monthly basis as well. So now you can see this turnover of this company for each of the month, April, May, June, and kind of a comparative profit and loss account for each of the month. Now it depends on the way you are going to carry out internal audit, whether you want to do it on a quarterly basis, whether you want to do it on a yearly basis, whether you want to do it on a monthly basis. Accordingly, you can just compare and show these reports, view these reports yourself first and show these reports, and then discuss it out as to how and how these reports can be further interpreted, right? I'm sure all of you, or rather most of you, are used to these reports, so these are not something new that I'm discussing it out. Okay, the next topic in my view is this particular activity, sales. Sales, all of us know that it is quantity into rate. Now, how this report of Tally becomes very useful for us is that Tally has a report called statistics. Now, suppose this period we keep it to 1 year only, or let it be 2 years. Let us compare this all 10 yearly. Now we can compare the number of sales transactions. If I'm doing internal audit or management audit of this particular company, I will have to understand how many number of transactions are happening per annum. Is the number of transactions going up or the number of transactions going down? at times, apart from value, it becomes very essential to know how many number of transactions are happening. Sales is typically a function of number of transactions. So this is one report which will tell us as to how many number of transactions that has happened for each year. Now, in this comparative analysis, you can see that there are some 1200 and odd number of sales transactions that are happening in 17-18. Vis-a-vis, the number has gone little up by about 100-150. So I mean, the rational conclusion for this company would be, yes, there is some kind of a incremental in terms of number of transactions at least. Whether it results into value increase or not, we can see when it comes to value increase. But yes, even the number of transactions does matter, right? So this one report becomes very critical for us to know as to how the number of transactions, how many number of transactions are happening. Similarly, if you change the company, we can see the similar report for the other company as well. Oh, shut this company. You can check the number of transactions that are happening for this company, which is the SBU that I am heading, and these are the number of transactions that are happening for each of the year. So here, if you can see, the number of transactions have actually gone down. 17-18, the number of transactions were little higher as compared to that. 18-19, the number of transactions have actually gone down. The number of transactions per se has maybe little gone down because there's one sales commission entry also here, right? So this is one way you can actually compare the number of transactions. In my opinion, this becomes very critical information for the internal auditor to understand what is the status of the company. The next critical aspect of understanding sales is the product, the stocks group summary of sundry debtors, as to how many number of customers that are there. Let me go back to my chartered accountancy firm. Let me take you to the report of accounts books, group summary, sundry debtors. This is a total number of customers with whom we had transactions during the year. So there are some 50 transactions here and 155 more. So I'm selecting now to configure, and I'm selecting opening balance, yes, transactions, yes. Now if you're seeing it, you can see for 2 years, this is the total amount of transactions that I have. I'll just put it as auto column, and sorry, tally got hanged. Let me start off with tally again. Just give me 1 minute. what I was showing you was display, accounts books, group summary, sundry debtors. In sundry debtors, I'm selecting the range. So now I'm in a position to see it only for 1 year. I'm changing the period for 17 to M19. Sorry. And I'm selecting yearly. Okay. Now this becomes a very helpful report in my opinion, because in this report we can actually compare the number of customers and each type of customers with whom we had transactions in the year 17-18 as well as in the year 18-19. So we are in a position to do an analysis whether we could add it, whether the company has added a customer or company has lost the customer. That means there was a customer with whom we did transactions on 17-18, but on 18-19 we could not do transactions with that customer, or vis-a-vis there is some transaction in 18-19 but there is no transaction in 17-18, or there are customers with whom there are transactions in 17-18 as well as 18-19. Now all the three type of data is very critical for us. For those customers with whom we had transactions in 17-18, ideally we should be able to get some incremental business from the same customer. So it becomes very essential for us to know whether how and why are we not in a position to get any additional incremental business as compared to 17-18. If there is a new customer acquisition in 18-19, it is very good, but it is very essential for us to find out as to what additional business can we get. If there is the situation is that there was some business, some billing in 17-18, but 18-19 then there is no business, then we need to find out whether the customer is out of business, or we need to spend what in Tally's language we call it as face time. We must spend time with customer so that we can identify what are the needs of the customers and what type of services that we can offer to the customer, so that there will be revenue for us and there will be a service that a customer can avail from us, right? So this report of comparative debtors analysis in my view is extremely critical for us to know as a part of your internal audit, right? Okay, presuming this is understood, let me go ahead. This is as far as debtors is concerned. This was group summary. So after number of transactions, it becomes essential as to who are the customers with whom we are doing transactions. So the report that I just showed you was who are the customers. These are the customers with whom we are doing transaction. The first report that I showed you of display statistics, where it was the number of transactions. The first thing, it was essential to understand how many number of transactions are we doing. Are we increasing the number of transactions? Then comes the next stage as to who are the customers with whom we are doing transactions, and are we continuing doing transactions with the existing customers, and are we adding new customers to it or not. And then comes the next stage of getting value for it, the rate part of it, right? So rate, as all of us understand, is a matter of time. In case of chartered accountancy function, there will not be a rate as such. So for showing you this activity of rate, let me take you to my consulting company where we are selling Tally. Okay, now getting the correct rate for the product, the ideal report is stock summary. If you're seeing this stock summary as of, say, for a period of 1st April 19 or 1st April 18 to March 19, so on and so forth. You can see the closing stock as blank. Again, to get a correct report, you'll have to just configure. Say opening balance is yes, goods inwards yes, outward yes. For the timing, I'm only selecting this much. Okay, let me do one more configuration towards the end so that you will be able to see a more effective report. I'm saying show me amount decreasing, amount wise decreasing. That means the first line will be that item, that product which has given me maximum contribution, and I'm saying this sorting method you put it on a outward basis. So now we can see the most effective products. Though there is only one product practically that we are selling, which is Tally, the rest of the products are basically an outcome of that product called Tally itself. You can, I'm pressing Alt R to remove all those lines which are not having any transactions. So if you can see, this is my performance in the year 18-19. I have sold altogether 363 numbers, out of which bought 363 numbers. I have sold 361 numbers, and there are 2 numbers are in stock. So the various product that I've sold, this is the status. Now what is required for me to understand what is my margin in each of the product. So if I just say show profit, it will show me a percentage of profit, the margin that I make against each of my product. So I'm making roughly about 10-11% margin against each of my product. So this gives me a fantastic report in terms of understanding if your data maintained is correct for all different type of industries and industry that is dealing with different types of products. This rate percentage given gives you a very excellent report, whereby you are in a position to understand as to which is the product which is contributing to the revenue of your company. Now a product like Tally, typically you will not be able to do multiple transactions with the customer, as a customer will normally buy one license and only once in a year. So once you have a customer, it is very essential for you to maintain regular intervals with the customer, otherwise somebody else will take care of your customer. So nevertheless, it becomes very essential. So beyond a product, it becomes essential for you in this particular industry like Tally licenses, where it is essential that you must be in a position to sell an add-on services. जैसे हम लोग audit, we normally say we also audit, right? So we do a lot of other services, and then because we are chartered accountants, we say we also audit, right? So this is how normally the things are taken care. I can see one query from Sachin. I cannot see the name. Can you repeat the report? Which report?
I think this report only, Amit bhai.
Which report?
This one. How do you come at this margin and inward outward? Yes. So
Is it?
I
Okay.
think
So
you just mentioned it 2 minutes back only.
okay. So let me go back and start off again. Okay, this rate report is presuming, right? I'm using that that formula of sales minus cost is equal to profit. So in sales, I have first mentioned of number of transactions. The sales, the first criteria for sales is number of transactions. Then the second criteria for sales is number of customers. So which are the customers? And then the third criteria is the rate at which you are doing transaction with the customer. So for you to get the correct rate, at what rate the transactions has happened, the report that I have selected is this stock summary. Then I've gone to F12 configure, and I've selected here a sorting method, amount wise decreasing outwards. just changing the period. Okay, this is the transactions that I'm in a position to see. Let me just remove these unwanted lines. Now at F7 here, I can see show profit, and I can see profit against each of my line item for the product. I hope the query querist is satisfied now. I'll go ahead with my
Yes,
presentation.
very
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
very much. Sir, if you could just show, there are about 10 to 12 requests which has come again for
Yeah.
creation of group company. How do we create a group company and link both of them together? What would be the important parameters? If in a nutshell, if you could just repeat, because that was asked by at least 12 participants.
Okay. Okay, let me go back. I thought I'm already over with that. Anyway, no problem. Let me go back and show you the group company first once again.
But
Okay.
I parked it later just after.
Sir, your voice is cracking. I could not hear you.
No, no, fine, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So for creation of a group company, the most essential thing is that whatever is the companies you want to treat it as part of that group, those companies you should have had selected first. Once you have selected those companies, you have already opened them in Tally. You have an option to go under company info. Now, under normal circumstances, this particular menu of create a group company won't be available. I'll just show you by closing one company. Suppose I shut one company, then this option of group company is not there. It is not highlighted, right? So for me, it is essential that I must select more than one company. Now in my case, it is, these are the two companies. Now you have this option called creation of a group company. You can give whatever name. And here you have to select the group companies. Okay, I am not saving this company because I already have created this company just now. I'll just open that company and show it to you. So in my case, I already have created this company called Amit Group Company. I can go and see the profit and loss account. I'm just changing the period to this is the group consolidated profit and loss account. I can see. I can also ask for company wise P&L. Was this the query, Punit bhai?
Absolutely, very correct. Just an extension of this query that
Yeah.
in case a client is having two or three years which are separately split, then how would you compare that as well?
Yeah, I
So
didn't get your.
you took an example where two companies or one company of different years, but that was not splitted.
Yeah, here the data is not splitted because it's my company. I have not splitted the data. Rather, I have splitted the data, but this data that I'm currently using, I am having it continuous data in that. This is not a real time
Yes.
data, but anyway. Yeah,
You
what
could
is the
just
query now?
what is the process of that? It's fine. I mean, let's not split into it.
Yeah.
What would be the process? What should the users do in case the data is not split? That would be nice.
Well, as far as I am concerned, I normally put it in separate folders itself, data, even if whether the data is splitted or not splitted. and I also create a separate group company for each of that period whenever I'm comparing. Unless you want to highlight anything else on that, Puneet bhai?
One company split into different years, how would you compare that? So I think what they will have to do is to load all the 3 years. Suppose they have split 3 years data, they will have to load all the 3 years, and at the gateway of Tally, they will have to select the entire period, and then maybe show a columnar report, right? Would
Yeah,
that be a nice solution?
yeah, perfectly. That will be a perfect solution. Provided you want to have the data, you already have data splitted into multiple years. Currently, the example that I'm running is basically trying to compare for the same period, and I'm trying to show a consolidated kind of a profit and loss account for multiple type of line of items, line of businesses that group is being carried out, and then you can see a consolidated status of the entire group as such. Like in this case, one is a chartered accountancy firm and the second one is a tally business kind of situation. And though the businesses are totally different, we can, because the chart of accounts is configured in such a fashion that we can always see a consolidated thing, we are in a position to see a reasonably good consolidated profit and loss account kind of situation. That's what the presentation was. There was one query here for having companies into multiple states. Even multiple states, you can always have a group company, and you can still you will still be in a position to see a single group company with multiple states of separate subsidiaries as well. So even that is very much possible. While
Another question related to that only, whether group company will update data of both the individual companies on real-time basis?
group company picks up the data from the subsidiary companies, you are not expected to pass entry into group company. You are expected to pass entries into subsidiary companies only. The moment data entry is carried out in subsidiary companies, the group company report will be updated.
Okay.
There's one query: while splitting tally data, error occurs while voucher. This is totally a different question altogether, I
Yes,
believe.
please take it later on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it later. That
Yeah.
splitting of data is a technical activity that that needs to be resolved separately. Okay, is this group company
Surya
concept?
Prakash saying yeah,
You are saying something.
sorry. Yeah, Surya Prakash saying is account master name should be same in both companies?
See, in this case, what has happened is that I have configured this major groups, the top groups, I would say, under indirect expenses and under sales staff cost. Like I have taken staff cost as a direct expenses in both the companies, so it is appearing against each other. So I am in a position to see, even if I go to the next level of getting percentage, I am in a position to see getting percentage as to split it into what is my cost, top line revenue, what is my GP, and then what is my NP as well for both the activities put together. So this is how I am in a position to configure as to how my total expenditure is happening. Now this is a matter of understanding of chart of accounts and how do I configure, how do I want final reports on the basis of which I can configure the original entries, original chart of accounts, basically ledgers. Is that answer this question query?
Right. Yeah.
Punindra, is this query answered?
Yeah, very much, Amit bhai. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Okay, let me go back to the place where I stopped. Let me shut down this group company. Okay, we were here at rate. I hope the stock summary concept is whatever little light I could emphasize with stock summary option is understood. That's basically part of the product company. This being not a product company, it's not visible there. The next and the most critical reports which are there as a part of tally is your fund flow reports. Just changing a period once again. This is for 1 month. I can change the period and put it for the entire period, and this actually shows how the fund flow has gone. Major fund flow has gone into payment of liabilities. You can split this further and see movement of current assets as well as movement in current liabilities. Okay, so this is how the fund flow report typically appears. One need to be knowing what the business is in order to understand the fund flow reports, right? So these are the reports. From an absolute third party basis, it will be a bit difficult for any person to understand as to whether the report is showing a good result or a bad result. It actually, one has to be part of that business process. It's only then one will be in a position to understand how the fund flow report can be better read. Similarly, you have cash flow report. This cash flow report is nothing else but basically a cash movement analysis. So cash movement analysis does not serve, to me, it does not serve much purpose, but fund flow report definitely serves. It definitely gives you a kind of an insight as to from where the funds are coming and for where the funds are getting utilized. Okay. The next is your negative stock and negative ledgers. These are the exceptional reports which Tally gives you by default. You have this reports here called exception reports. This talks about negative ledgers and negative stock. So basically, negative ledgers means whenever you are creating a ledger and you have created a ledger under a particular group, and as per that group, that ledger should have a credit balance and it is having a debit balance or vice versa. Those ledgers would be highlighted and shown to you under this particular negative ledgers. Right, so these are the reports which it is showing you as negative ledgers. That means either the ledger is, say this particular ledger is a debtor and is having a credit balance. Similarly, this particular ledger is a creditor which is having a debit balance, something like that. So these are the negative reports. Again, in order to understand this report, it is very essential for you to know what is the type of ledger that you are referring about. Now, this particular ledger will typically be a supplier ledger, which is having a debit balance. So, which is not the case, which should not be the case. That is the reason it is showing you as a negative ledger. But this becomes very useful report. At one go, you will come to know all those ledgers which are not having proper balances. Similarly, you can also get to know the negative stocks as well, in case if you happen to have a negative stock. Normally, there will not be any negative stock, maybe except for on the last day of, let me check if you have done any over trading. When in order to book the last day's sales, we at times do this kind of over trading. No, we are not having negative stock. So as far as this company is concerned, but these two reports of negative stock and negative ledgers to me are extremely essential, and they give you a good hygiene status of the ledgers as well as the stocks. Okay, let me take you to the next slide. Okay, For this, this report was actually covered earlier in somebody's presentation, but nevertheless, from audit perspective, to me, it is a very good feature that Tally has. So I'm just showing you one company in which there is a data. This is data for 1920, I believe. Just shutting the remaining two companies. Period is 1920, I believe. You can go to display, you can go to statement of inventory, you can go to purchase order outstanding, and see a transaction like this. This type of viewing of transaction gives you a complete understanding of all the transactions. Whenever you are doing an internal audit or audit kind of an activity for a firm, it is very essential for auditor as well as the owners to know how many total number of transactions which are still pending, either on the purchase side or on the sales side. Both the sides, the pending transactions are not good for the business unless you are in a process of completing it. So this purchase order pending and sales order pending, these two reports becomes very critical for the owners as well as for the internal auditors to understand as to where the business stands. Typically, for understanding of the contingent liability of the business entity or for the future sales of the business entity, it becomes very critical to know how many total number of purchase orders and sales orders are outstanding. And like in this particular transaction that is visible on the screen, we can come to know that there are totally 20 kgs of stainless steel was ordered, 15 kg is the balance quantity, because 10 kg was received, out of which 5 kg was rejected, and effectively only 5 kg was received. So now we can decide whether what is required to be done. So if the purchase order data is very seriously maintained, then all these type of reports becomes very critical. This is purchase order. Similarly, you can always have sales order as well. Now in this case of a sale of product called Bush, there is a 100 order quantity, balance quantity is 55. How the quantity is 55? Because we had delivered 50 quantity and 5 numbers of rejection was received. So we had issued a credit note for 5 numbers. So as of today, the balance quantity is 55, which we could deliver only 45 correct good numbers. So remaining 55 numbers are yet to be delivered. So this is where you come to know what is the sales order side and the purchase order side. Okay, let me go to the next. Let me select my original companies back again. Okay. Now this audit and analysis are the features which are available in Tally, and they are very powerful features. This audit and compliance features are getting activated only when you have given a passwords. When you have required to give user ID and passwords, only when you have created user ID and passwords, this audit and compliance starts getting activated. I'll just show you. You have to go to company info. You have to go to alter company, and you should be giving a passwords here. Okay, so along with these passwords, kindly activate this Tally audit feature also. I will be explaining you this once again, but unless we have given this user ID and passwords, these passwords are very critical, the audit and compliance feature won't get activated, right? So in order to have this audit and compliance feature activated, it is very essential that we must give a user ID. Okay, now what is this audit and compliance features is all about? I'll go to audit documentation a little later. Let me start off with audit and analysis. This is one of the fantastic feature which Tally gives you. So I'm saying it is beginning with 2019. It is showing me how many number of transactions I already have and how it has to be audited. To begin with, I can start off with as a chart of accounts. I can verify chart of accounts. Now normally whatever logic that we apply by taking a dump of a trial balance and then doing analysis of a trial balance in Excel, almost entire activity is available here in Tally itself at a press of a button. Just press verification of chart of accounts and it gives you a report of all the ledgers, accounts squared off during the year, accounts not used during the year, account not used in the current year, only balances, no transactions, used only in the current year. So the entire chart of accounts of mine has already been splitted into accounts. What are the, so that means these are the number of ledgers with whom I had transactions, but they got squared off during the year. And these are the ledgers. I have almost 491 ledgers which are not used during the year, not used in the current year. These are not used probably, and these are the 117 ledgers not used in the current year. So they may be, because it's a continuous data, it may be the case that these are the ledgers which are not used for more than 2 years as well. So that also becomes for me to identify specifically if it is a debtors ledgers, then it becomes a matter of concern for me, and suppliers ledger in case if I don't wish to continue any activity with those suppliers as well. Only balances, no transactions. So these are the ledgers again need to be identified. Which are those ledgers where there are no transactions? Absolutely, there are only balances there and used in the current year. About 18 ledgers are there which are used in the current year. So I can go and check this. I can decide what to do with this if I know what all type of customers are there or suppliers are there, or why these are all stagnant ledgers not used in the current year. They are having some balances but they are not used in the current year. So that becomes very essential for me to find out as to why this particular party with whom we are not having any transactions. Only balances, no transactions. So now I'll come to know that these are the ledgers which are opened on this particular date. Similarly, I can go for stock items. How many number of used items are there? How many number of not used items are there? And what is the total status for the same? Third report is for verification of balances. Here you can actually compare and see this. As I mentioned to you, this being an SBU, there is no capital account here, but you can see all other groups and the ledgers under that have been grouped. As you can see, there's one ledger which has appeared under indirect expenses. Probably this may be a rounding of a ledger because it is appearing under indirect expenses and having credit balance. It is showing a ledger in a group in red. If I, yeah, as expected, it is rounding off as a ledger. So that particular ledger is having a credit balance and it has been wrongly grouped under indirect expenses. It may be finally grouped under indirect income. But anyway, that's how the configuration was done. Similarly, under each of the group, you will be able to see the entire movement. Or whatever that you wanted to see, right? So this is how the verification of balances can be carried out. Fourth and the most important feature, I think Anand sir also had shown this. This is one of the most powerful feature of Tally, where you can actually compare the sales accounts and sales accounts as a group for both the years 18-19 and 19-20 and compare and check the percentage as to how much sales has grown current year or it has gone down, and the decrease is 1.8% vis-a-vis against each of the type of ledger accounts. So this gives me a fantastic report as to this is not only for sales, I can also see it for the expenditure accounts as well. Let me take you to the professional firm and show you audit analysis and analytical procedures, administrative cost to administrative cost. So now I can compare my administrative cost. I can go for further advanced comparison and select one more group, say financial and legal cost, financial and legal cost, business development, now I can compare my multiple groups and the resultant effect of that. So this is one of the most critical report. Normally हम लोग इसी report को Excel में export करके बनाते हैं and we show it to the management, whereas this particular report is actually available at the press of a button, provided your data entry is correct and at a ledger level, the ledger level operations are correct. So this becomes a very important report. Anand sir also had emphasized while showing his MIS report, this particular report. So I'm not further getting into details of the same. This is a very beautiful report, but nevertheless, all of you must try your hands onto this. This report, as Pankaj sir has said, will definitely monetize you for sure. Okay, so let me start off with the rest of the presentation of mine. Yeah, Punit bhai,
Amit bhai,
bolo.
sir, before we proceed further,
Yeah.
You showed verification of chart of accounts and balances, but how
Yeah.
to verify? What is the option for that? If you could just give it in a minute, because there are 4 or 5 questions, how to verify that? So if you could just show and also show the group name that can come along with the ledger names. So verification of chart of accounts or balances. If you could just show, okay, what do you mean by verify? I mean, account squared up but not verified. What does the word verify mean here?
Okay. Okay. So now I have this account squared off during the year. I can press space bar and I have an option here to verify, and I say I'm verifying it. So I can either say verified or I've kept it on hold, or I can put it as verification note. Right.
So verification is essentially auditing.
Yeah, you can actually audit each individual ledger at a ledger level, at a balance level itself, whichever way you want to go ahead. And this becomes a system itself allows you to keep a track of that as to how do you want to verify that. Here you can again go for the next ledger and verify that, or you can go back to the previous ledger and remove verify as well. So you can go to this any particular ledger and say I want to verify this particular thing. Similarly, this is nothing else but a auditing. The way we used to do audit, we can do this audit in the system itself. So no manual ticking is required. So you don't have to take a printout of a trial balance. Your verification remains there in the system itself. Is this clear?
Yes. And the later part of my question, how to see
Yeah.
the group name of the ledger?
How to see the
This,
group name of?
yeah, Abhishek Malpani is under
Yeah.
which group? And in that only, sir, there is an option in F12.
1 second.
Account code of going, sir. That's it.
Yeah.
So in that, in the later report only, go inside that report, account squared off during the year.
1 second. Account squared off during the year.
Yeah, in F12. Show name of the group, the third option.
Which is the third option. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, as Puneet Bhai has rightly highlighted, now we are actually in position to see that we have seen this particular ledger. We have also seen in a position to see the comment on the same as well. So now when we verify, we know under which group it is. We can put it as verified. And appearing there. Thank you, Puneet Bhai. I had actually forgotten to show this particular.
Just one more option, that if you are okay with all the ledgers, you can press control space for all.
Yeah. You can press control and space for all the ledgers. And verify or remove verifying, whatever it is.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Puneet Bhai.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Now it's taking some time to verify all the ledgers probably. Should I stop?
Yeah, yeah, it's fine if you can just
I'll stop.
restart.
Yeah. Okay. This is as far as analytical procedures are concerned under Tally. Let me just go back to Tally. I think I'll have to restart Tally. Give me 2 minutes. Let me restart Tally. Okay. Tally as a product also gives you one feature called Tally Audit, whereby which requires to be activated first. So you have to go to group info, company info, and inside that company info, when you're creating company info, there's this feature here called Tally Audit feature. The moment you have said yes to this, you have one report getting activated by default. This report presupposes that you have created users and each user has a dedicated rights. So when you have that kind of a situation, under Tally, you can go under display, go under statement of accounts, go under Tally Audit, and you can actually see the Tally Audit feature. Let me change the period so you will be able to see little more number of transactions. Let me keep it as 1819. Okay, so now these are the number of transactions, voucher type wise, number of transactions that have been entered. I can see this transactions now user wise. So if I'm doing an audit of a company and I'm aware about who is the user who is looking at what type of transactions that particular user is doing and what all rights that particular user has, then I can find out who's the user. Now in this case, if you can see, there is one user by the name Pranali who has done maximum number of transactions. Rest all have done comparatively much lesser number of transactions as far as the data entry for 1819 as far as this particular database is concerned. Now when you're doing an audit, it becomes very essential for you to know whether the proper user creation has been carried out and who are the users who are actually been doing the data entry and who are entering the transactions and showing it. You can show this voucher type wise or user wise. Similarly, you can see masters as well. In this particular database, there is no editing that we do it, so we are unable to. I am unable to show you a report whereby you can actually see it is created by whom and edited by whom, but it actually gives you a report whereby you are in a position to see the transactions created by whom and edited by whom. Let me just still try and show you that particular report. Okay. No, I'm unable to show you that particular report right now. But it's one of the very good report that Tally has. Once you have activated this Tally audit feature and users are created, you are actually in a position to see the user wise transactions entered and edited, if at all anybody has edited this particular transactions, right? So this is as far as Tally audit feature is concerned. Next is your statutory audit. Now statutory audit basically is your documentation which one carries out at the time of doing audit. So Tally has a very good feature of doing Tally audit program. We just change the period again to 1819. Okay, this is the period for which we will be doing audit. So you can generate actually an audit program as we normally do it. We can set an auditor details. Here you can select the auditor's name, firm name, client name, whatever it is. So on and so forth. You can type service industry. There are no branches. Now this is actually the way you conduct the audit program. There are certain basic activities that are given here as to balance verification. How do you want to carry out balance verification? What is the estimated time? And whenever we create this particular program, it remains stored inside and it can be utilized for the next year as well to utilize for the statutory audit purposes. Though Tally per se is not pressurizing it on, because even the presentation for Schedule 6 is still appearing as Schedule 6 instead of Schedule 3. Some of the users have, attendees have mentioned there. Yes, we have taken up this issue with Tally, and I'm sure Tally will make the necessary changes in the same. Nevertheless, it serves the purpose of Companies Act as well as the users, because from the owner's perspective, it is essential that the reports are getting generated into the required manner in which the data needs to be reported. Now, this audit program is one of the features that was actually originally designed for the auditors edition that was carried out by Tally for auditors per se. Unfortunately, very few number of chartered accountants are even aware about it. It has a fantastic feature of recording audit program, and which also can be traced back next year to find out as to how the audit has been carried out. Once this audit program is used properly, it is say, we can say days, 2 days. Here you can mention actual number of days, so you can mention here as 2 days only. Extent of verification, I would say 20%. Verified by manager. Verification remarks. All this data remains stored, and it is possible for you to verify and available for you for verification for the next year's audit program as well. So it becomes very essential that you must do an elaborate audit program, record it, and use it for the next year as well. So this is typically as far as your statutory audit under Companies Act is concerned, or a normal audit is concerned, where audit documentation becomes very critical. Not only you have to carry out audit, it is very essential that you need to have a audit documentation properly. So typically the way it is mentioned in bigger firms, work not documented is work not done. So it is very essential that you must document your activity. This becomes very essential that you have documented the activity. Secondly, for me, it becomes in case of a smaller entities, it becomes very essential from my perspective as such, which I normally tell my staff at least to follow. What I do normally is that I ask my staff to take this reports, say fixed assets, fill it up, take a printout, and ask the management to sign against each of these questions, whatever the answers to these questions. This becomes a very effective working paper for me, in my opinion. And last 2 years, my experience, I can share it with you. Initially, those people who are otherwise never paying heed to whatever suggestions that we do as an auditor, the moment you put it onto their neck, saying that this is your entity and it is as much stored inside as a part of your books of accounts, and you are the owner for the books of accounts, suddenly the attitude, at least as far as my observation is concerned, that it shows that there is a change in the attitude and aptitude of the owner, business owners as well, towards the approach of audit. Otherwise, my experience was that many times owner का एक attitude ऐसा रहता है, यार dotted line बता किधर है, sign किधर करने का बता, these are all your headaches, sir, don't ask me. Fixed asset का verification किया कि नहीं, कैसे किया, The moment you put it to him saying that kiya nahi kiya, is pe sign karo. The moment you take this as an attitude, at least my experience is that suddenly there is a change in the next year saying that यार नहीं वो देखना चाहिए किधर है करके. अगर बुक में दिख रहा है तो एसेट होना चाहिए, अगर एसेट नहीं है तो फिर बुक्स में से भी निकाल देना चाहिए. Something like that. So this is at least as far as my office is concerned, we are very religiously following this, and it is giving reasonably good results. Similarly for inventory, the smaller entities, typically these accounting standard requirements are very difficult to maintain, which I am also aware about it, which is actually difficult for smaller entities to maintain and complete all the statutory requirements of accounting standard. But nevertheless, the moment you put this onto the person who is maintaining it, at least they start becoming aware about it. Yes, that this is the way they are required to maintain the data, and at least once in a year they should verify and have the book stock and the real stock corrected. So at least the process of correction starts. If at all it is not getting corrected over a period of time, at least the process of correction starts. So this is as far as audit documentation is concerned. As far as I am concerned, I am using this, and these are all very good features, and all the features are very good as far as audit program and CARO reporting is concerned, though it is not completing all the current CARO requirements, because Tally has not upgraded on this auditors edition front for a long time. But nevertheless, what they had created about 6 years, 7 years back, it is still serving a reasonably good purpose, I would say. The next one of the statutory feature which Tally gives is about financial statements. Here you are in a position to see Schedule 6. You can see this kind of trade payables. The trade payables is appearing in red. The moment you press enter, you are in a position to see this ungrouped trade payables. Now this is one beauty of Tally. This is where it actually allows you to edit this particular ledger, either an entire balance or a part of that balance, or bifurcate balance into whichever type of balance you want it to appear. Say the same way trade payables. I'm saying trade payables with others, current liabilities, trade payables. I'm saying accept. Yes. So now this one ledger at least is gone. Same way I can do it for all the 29 ledgers. Friends, this whatever splitting of balances that I do, or I regroup these ledgers, it does not affect my chart of accounts. The ledger remains under the same group wherever I have created. So even if I make changes here under this Schedule 6 balance sheet of Tally, it actually does not affect the ledger and the grouping which is where the ledger is. So here I am allowed to do another set of regrouping of my ledgers and its balances, which is one of the fantastic feature of Tally as far as this financial statements are concerned, right? So this is typically the statutory audit function of Tally, the way Tally gives. The next is audit report and CARO report annexure. CARO report annexure I just now discussed, where I showed you that the audit documentation. This is your CARO annexures, where for each of the types CARO annexures are available. I just now discussed that. As I also mentioned, it is normally being used for the purpose of taking signatures, at least if the client is very small. The client is big enough, yes, you can seriously use it, and I would suggest at least for 1 year with one client, try using it. It will definitely help you, because if you are having a habit of taking a backup of Tally, if you have maintained all this data in Tally, the same data is available to you for verification in the next year itself. So next year you have your audit program readily available for you for your verification as to what was done last year for the purpose of audit. And if the client is very small, yes, definitely the printouts and the signing off from the client definitely helps for you for the documentation purpose. So this is as far as statutory audit of Tally is concerned. Then you have the financial statements and balance sheet, which we were just discussing. The balance sheet part. This is the schedule 6 part of balance sheet that we were just discussing. So it allows you to regroup any of the ledgers as per our requirement, and as per the schedule 6 requirement, though it is not schedule 6, schedule 3 now, it nevertheless allows you to regroup those ledgers according to the requirement of Companies Act without affecting your own creation of a chart of accounts. So your original chart of account remains intact. At the same time, the presentation for the purpose of Companies Act can be changed as per the requirement. So like for example, this air conditioner is appearing here as entire balance or split balance. You can bifurcate this particular balance into 2-3 balances or a single balance, and you can still continue, go ahead and say this should appear under fixed assets, freehold, plant and equipment gross. Okay, so this particular things goes away. Well, this is as far as financial statements and CARO reporting is concerned. These are the normal limitations that we always talk about as far as chartered accountancy firms are concerned: availability of time, cost benefit balances, quality and understanding, quantity and availability of staff. So that's the reason if the partner has a good understanding of Tally, it becomes very essential and very easy for the chartered accountancy firm to get the audit done in a much smoother manner. So this is as far as audit from Tally is concerned from my side. Puneet bhai, will you be able to take up now? Puneet bhai?
Thank you. We'll do it.
Yeah. Should I stop my screen share?
Yeah, very much.
Thank you.
Anubhav, it was fantastic. And I think there are some of the questions that we can answer. But let us first complete today's session on the other part. And maybe we can take it regarding the split companies and some other part. So of the statutory audit feature as well. So friends, with these words, can I just start on the one of the main topic for which we all are here together. About 361 people here at Sunday evening is really fantastic to look at, to address them. So let us start with our next session of foreign exchange. Amit, if you could just share the screen with me.
I have 1 second.
1 second.
Can you now?
Yeah.
Yeah, just start. Let's do screen share, Puneet bhai. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that fine?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Multi-currency in Tally ERP9. Tally has got some fantastic feature, and one of the most underutilized feature is this multi-currency feature, where users can not only generate books of accounts in different currencies as well as maintain multiple currencies in Tally. Suppose an exporter is having business in China, which is having currency as renminbi. and he's having the business in Singapore dollars as well as he's having business in US dollars and Australian dollars. He can maintain all the four currencies, and if there is a fifth, euro or pound as well. So how is that possible? So we will just see what are the topics that we are going to see. Why multi-currency option is there? So that is one of the reason why multi-currency option should be there. How to activate the entire gamut and the difference between buy rate, sale rate, and last transaction rate. So it is important for all of us to understand that how Tally maintains this rate, what is the last transaction rate, and what is the standard rate. So while there could be many theories for that, what is the reason that I have understood? Let me go through all of these and show it to you. Further, what are we going to do? We are going to post the transactions of foreign exchange in our base currency, or if you may like, in the foreign currency as well. Multiple types of foreign currency, as I said, we can have US dollar, AED, dirham, or whatever currency we may have. Then, as what our accounting standard says, that please value your assets and liability on the last day of the balance sheet. That is probably the 31st of March if you are following April to March, or some other period as you may like. But we need to, and or if there is a receipt during the year or the payments, the transaction has got complete, at that point of time you should post exchange gain and loss, and Tally gives us that benefit of posting these transactions on an automated mode. So we can see the report, or rather we can send the report to the debtor or the creditor in his currency. It is so shabby that when some of my friends, what I observe is that they send the report in currencies of the currency, the entire amount in the base currency, that is US dollar 50,000 transactions into 70. So whatever that value would be, they post the transactions in the base currency, maybe the INR, and send the same report to the debtor. And the debtor does not understand. He has to see in the narration what was the foreign exchange of currency involved, amount of foreign currency involved, and all these stuff. So it was very shabby, but definitely you can look at sending it in foreign currency as well. And finally, if you are accounting for your branch in Dubai or your branch in Singapore, how would you convert that back in Indian rupees? And how would you look at both the companies, that is your Indian rupee company and your foreign currency company, that is your Dirham Dubai company, or that? So how would you see both of them together? So this is the topics that we are going to cover in next few minutes. How many of us are excited? Can I just have show of hands? Yes, we would like to see, or somebody of them, yes, we know all these stuff. Please do not waste our time. Whatever you may feel, please put it down in the question box. I'll just review the question box, and at the same time, I will start tally as well. So please give your remarks, whether you would like to see this, all the 4, 5, 6 things that I have discussed, or you would not like to waste your time on this. Please put. I'm looking at the questions. Yes. Thank you for your approval, friends. Let me start with this. I'll create one demo company. Why I would create one demo company? Because the basic concept of currency starts from the creation of company only. List of countries. We all belong to India, and currently probably all the participants are from India. That's what my presumption is. So we would select normally India. But in case any of you are from maybe Australia, you observe what does happens at the bottom. If somebody is from United States of America, dollar currency is changed, or someone really nearby, maybe Bangladesh, taka. Okay, so this is very important for us to understand that the base currency is there at the books of accounts creation. Okay, the base currency would always be one. There cannot be multiple base currency. Whichever country that you may belong, I have seen people staying in Dubai and accounting for Dubai may completely enter the records in US dollar only because of their nature of work. But ideally we should post our books of accounts in one. We can post only in one currency, and that is where that is available at the right at the company creation beginning. Okay, we all are in India, so we start with this. Okay, one more important information for those of you who are consolidating two companies, three companies together. One more piece of information that is very vital in terms of consolidation. When you are consolidating two companies, Amit Bhai showed very beautifully how to create a group company. Okay, so you load two companies and then go to company creation and create a group company. But friends, for that to happen effectively, what is also important is that the base currency of both the companies should be same. Many times what has happened is that before the new rupee symbol came, we used to put only RS dot. Okay, and those of you who are migrating that data from 7.2 or 6.3 version of Tally, they are putting RS dot only and formal name as rupees. So that company and a company which is created newly may have this base currency symbol as our new rupee symbol and INR. Now consolidating both of them is extremely difficult or rather not possible, because when you are consolidating two companies, both of them has to be, as an example goes, Apple. You cannot add Apple and oranges and say that I have five this thing. Okay, so both of them have to be the same. It is very important. Sorry for that minor digression, but I thought since Amit Bhai has already taken consolidation of companies, this is a very vital piece of information that is available when we are creating the company. Okay, now this is a completely new company created. Nothing of any sort is there in the backend. How do I start? Okay, now suppose we get an example. We get into an simple example that as a company, I get an order for 50,000 rupees of US dollars. Okay, how do I enter that transaction in Tally so that I can get all the requisite report? Right? Is that a good example to start with? Great. So the first thing that I should be doing is go to F11, go to accounting features. We all have seen some amount of this F11 in last 4, 5, 6 days. Right? Today it is the multi-currency option which we need to activate. That's it. Enable multi-currency. Control A. I don't want to play with any other feature right now, so I have clicked on Control A. we all need to learn some shortcuts to work fast in Tally. Accounts info, we get this option currency. Had I not activated in F11, I would not have got this option of currencies. What does this give me? It gives me multiple things is create, display, alter, and rates of exchange. These all are different options. Let us understand few of them one by one. Create. Now my base currency is rupee and I have received an order of 50,000 US dollars from a company in US. Okay, so I need to create a currency. Okay, so although the base currency information of dollar sign was there at the back end when we select United States, but it is not available for us to use when we are doing this multi-currency option. So either we may just create dollar, okay, or we may just put USD. I love to put symbol as USD because that's better and give formal name as US dollar. You may put as US dollar this as well. There's no bar to it or just dollar. But just dollar would be a bit of confusing as Singapore also uses Singapore dollar, Australia uses Australia dollar, and likewise most of the 40 to 50% of the country are using currency as the dollar. Okay, so it is not right to just put it. I would rather put it like this. Number of decimal places to show amount in millions. If I wish to see the amount in millions, then yes, I can see that as well. Would I like to have suffix symbol to the amount? As at present, I'm putting it no. Maybe later on we can come back to this and see at space between amount and symbol. So do I wish to put a space whenever a printing of the amount field or the amount in words field is being there, then I put it as yes. Words representing the amount after decimal. So what do that words represent after the decimal? In India, Amidwai, what do we call? In India, it is paise. For US dollar, we can call it as
Come again, sir. I didn't
Amidwai.
get your. Come again. What is your
Word
question?
representing the amount after decimal.
In India, it
What
is
do we
paise.
call in India? Paise.
In US dollar, it is
But
pains.
for US dollar,
Pains.
pence, I think, would be for pound. It should be cents.
Okay.
Right. That's what I think is. Okay. So we've created a currency and now we go to the sale transaction. Okay. Before we go to a sale transaction, this is a completely new company. I need to create some amount, some basic aspects of items. What am I selling? I'm selling garments and they are of numbers. I will not go in any of the other options. I will also go and create friends. Here also we have to maintain the currency as rupee because the base currency is the rupee. Please do not go here and change it to dollar. The tally gives us the option that list of currency that we should use it only and only for the bank accounts for which we do not need the conversion at the end of the year. Okay. So for other places, we just have to select whatever the base currency is. Maintain balances bill by bill. Right. I will also create sales export. under sales account. That's it. My base things are over. What are requisite things I require? I will go to the sales transaction. I'll select the US customer. I have received an order of 50,000 US dollars. I am dispatching the garments. You can add the description of the garments. Whatnot. Okay. What is the quantity that I'm selling? I'm selling 1,000 or 10,000 numbers of garments. It would show negative stocks because this is the completely demo company. Here, here is the point that we need to wait, that at what rate have I sold them the garments. Okay, so you may say I've sold it at 500 rupees per piece or at $5 per number, $5 per number. So since you are exporting this, you should enter 5 USD. Fine. Did you notice that I have written USD along with the number? Okay, this is very important because then you are asking Tally that you are putting this number US dollar. Okay, yes, US dollar, and here it is asking me the rate of exchange. Amit bhai, what is the average rate of exchange which is going on right now? Amit bhai, I think it is 70. 70 or 75, whatever. Suppose we say that rate of exchange is per US dollar is rupee 70.
Today's rate is 74.93.
Achha. Okay, we will receive the money today. This we have sold it on 1st of April 2020, and we will receive the money, and then we will see that how we can use that as well. Assuming that 1st April had 70 rupees as the rate. Here again, if you see in the bill wise details, the amount which is pending is not the amount which is total in base currency, that is 35 lakhs. Okay, the amount which is pending is US dollar 50,000 US dollar 50,000. That is what is the amount which is pending, and this is very important to for all of us to understand because our report would be viewed in this only. Okay, right. I'll do a page up and show you some basics option. Alt P print with preview. Okay, so I had put the space as no because and that is the reason there is no space in between. But this is what it is. And see, amount in chargeable is 50,000. Okay, right? 50,000 US dollars. Right. Some of us would say, first, I want to put in the exporters details, I want to put in the shipping details, and all those things. So, as we had mentioned, that in F12 there are a lot of options. So, one of the option is this. When we click on F12, again in F12, provide exporter shipping details. Yes, marks and numbers of kind of package. What will happen with this options activating? You see, you get all these things. Place of recipient by the shipper. What is the vessel type number? Similarly, here again we get this option. What are the marks? So on and so forth. Okay. So this is how you can use a export invoice for your purpose. I will just show you once again those options: marks numbers, number of kinds of pages, packages, okay, US dollar. Now, some of you would require, Puneet, for my auditor to understand what would be the US currency in this. I need to print the currency amount as well, the base currency amount as well. So in Alt P F12, there is an option in again doing F12, show base and foreign currency total. Print base and foreign currency total. Okay, print base currency we have already seen. We can activate this as well, and then see total invoice amount, and we get to know at what rate our books of accounts have been posted with this particular transaction, for this particular transaction, right? Okay, I will accept this transaction, right? Hmm. I will come to display account books. Okay, now let me come back to the masters once again. That is accounts info, currencies, the rates of exchange field. See, the last voucher rate, there is no specified rate which is coming because we have not specified anything. Okay, specified selling rate and specified buying rate or the standard rate. Now let me make you understand the concept behind all the three aspects. That is, what is a standard rate, what is a selling rate, and what is a buying rate. Buying rate is when you are purchasing from abroad. So if you are importing and you want specific rate to be accounted, if you recall that in the transaction I have put in that each dollar is equal to 70 rupees. Okay, that was in the transaction, but something I can put it in the masters as well. So my accountant do not do mistake. So I can put it as a specified selling rate, okay, for the sales transaction, and specified buying rate for the purchase transaction. Okay. Last voucher rate, this you have understood maybe just because of observation that whatever we put it in the transaction is available out here. Once we have understood what is specified selling rate and specified buying rate, then the standard rate, what is the option for standard rate? Now the standard rate is the rate of exchange, which according to my understanding is that you put it at the end of the year or at the end of the month when you are closing your balance sheet. So that is at the fixed rate. Suppose some of the debtors you might not have received the money, some of the creditors you might not have paid the money. How would you like to revalue at what rate would you like to revalue them because they are still unpaid or pending? Okay, so at what rate would you like to revalue them? So for them, for the software to understand, we can just come here and put the standard rate as well. Okay, but once we are putting the standard rate, we also need to give the date. I will not save the transaction, but suppose I'm putting the date, this thing, right? So I will not save the transaction right now, but this standard rate is for the saving of particular rate at the master level. Same goes for selling and buying as well. Right. Moving forward. So this was all about currencies configuration at the master level. Now let me view some reports. Display account books, ledger, US customer, 35 lakhs. Now, as I told many times, the users, all of our users sent this only. And suppose they mentioned it in the narration. they send this kind of ledger to the party. Now, this is very shabby, as I told. It doesn't look good for any software to prepare such things. What you can alternatively do is to go to your magic button called F12, and there you can activate this option. What does this option do? Show forex transaction only. Show forex transaction only. You can create this option. Okay. Here, once you create this option, show forex transactions only, you can see this. And once you give print command for this looks a lot more better than the earlier output of just 35 lakhs, right? Now, is this available only in my ledger vouchers report? That is this report? No, this is also available in your bill wise report, which I can click from here, Alt D, and then print it. Bill wise pending report. Okay, so this is available at both the level that US dollar 50,000 is there. To some of you who might not have got what I have said, F12, show forex transaction only. This is the option that I have clicked. Okay, this is the option that I have clicked, and because of that, I get only $50,000. Now, coming to what Amit Bhai said, that this money in the month of July, we've not created bank account. We'll go and create a bank account. Ledger, create. I'm not going into much the details for banking. Our Jiten sir has taken very extensively. F6, HDFC bank account, and from here I can see the party name to whom I am receiving. Again, what is the amount that I am receiving? First, let me take an example of, suppose I am receiving the full amount, USD 50,000. Please ensure that you are putting with the suffix before the amount. If you do not put the suffix, then what will happen? If you do not put the suffix, then what will happen? Tally does not understand, and you will be creating a grave error. Okay, Tally does not understand that this is US dollar. This is good. This will give you a backfire report. This will not give you a correct picture. So I will come back. I will select my bank, USD 50,000. No, I made a mistake. Amit Bhai informed me that this now the rate is 74 point something. I'll for the sake of brevity, I'll just put it 74 only. Yes. Pending bills. If you see, this is giving you the bill details. 50,000 US dollars at the rate of 70, 35 lakhs rupees pending. Okay. Right. Many times we may have some bank charges. Okay. We might not have received $50,000. Okay. We'll create a bank charges account. Control A, and suppose we might have received 3,500 as bank charges. That will be the bank charges. Okay, so that's the amount we have received it. So this is how you can account for your entries, right? So let us go and check our reports. This account books, ledger, US dollar. It is showing you unadjusted gain and loss, and it is showing you this. Now, the benefit of using the F12 in the in this field is that once you are giving show forex transaction only, Whether you have adjusted or unadjusted, you don't get this amount. Okay. Any transaction which is in INR, you don't get this in the list. You can just send this statement to the customer. Okay. If you put this show forex transaction only, no. At the same time, now you would like to adjust this 2 lakhs rupees, which is your profit, which has happened because of passage of time and the fluctuation in gain and loss. Okay. So what do we do that for that? What do? We go to accounts info, voucher type, alter, journal. We want Tally to automatically calculate our forex amount, right? So we can just press forex gain, loss, and use class for forex gain and loss adjustment. If we can put this as yes, then let us see the magic. Use class for forex gain and loss adjustment. We will have to give the name. We can create a name from here also. Under indirect expenses is fine. So I have given forex gain loss ledger as the ledger name in which I want to transfer my gain and loss. And let me check. Now, before I pass that entry, I have shown you the ledger voucher report. I can show you the balance sheet as well. Balance sheet is also showing this unadjusted gain loss value of 2 lakhs rupees. How do I adjust that? Let me go and check, because this is a problem which most of the users in Tally who have not learned it completely is having. They have learned how to create the multi-currency, but they did not care to learn how to clear the multi-currency exchange gain loss report. Okay, that is very important for all of us to understand. And as rightly pointed out by our uh, one of our learned speaker, Pankaj sir, this is not only about learning, but to making money from the software. How do you correct that? You can go to journal voucher, you can go to forex gain and loss, and here you can select the party US customer. It is automatically showing you unadjusted amount. It is showing you the table. That's it. Can I accept this? Yes. Now, by doing this, let us see whether my balance sheet has got, yes, my balance sheet has got automatically adjusted. Okay. And whether the same is reflected in the ledger also, display account books US dollar, yes, the US dollar customer is also, okay, showing it properly. Tomorrow, once I have to send the ledger report, can I send it properly? Let us see. Yes, for him, unadjusted gain and loss or adjusted gain and loss doesn't make a difference for the customer sending in US. You can directly print from the ledger and send it to this. You can just send this as an email to the customer by inputting all these details. Probably during the next few lectures, we will show you how to configure the mailing ledgers. Okay, but correct. Let us stop out here in terms of this. Now, let me go and check my currency once again. Accounts info, currency, rates of exchange or alteration, either of the two option. It shows last selling rate as 73.93. Okay. And if I go to this alter, I get the entire history. Right. I get 1st April, my transaction was, last voucher rate was 70 rupees per US dollar. On 19th of July, voucher rate was 73.93. I can go and create the standard rate as I mentioned that I will do it at the end of the another transaction. Now I will post a slightly complex transaction. Now, suppose I deal with a customer in Dubai as well, and he wants an invoice in dirham. How do I do it? I go to currencies, I am repeating the same process. The symbol is AED. Amit bhai, again, can you help me with what do you call currency? Amit bhai,
One second, one second.
if any of the users can help at the question level, what do you call? Is it paise, dirham, and dirham only? Vikram bhai saying, okay, fills. Okay, okay, it is called fills. Fine, thank you for that.
Not aware.
Fills. Some of the participants have shared their knowledge. I'm thankful for them. Okay, now I will create one more customer. I'll skip other details which are not relevant at this point of time. And now I will go to him. Suppose on 1st of January 2021, I make a transaction F8 sales to Dubai Ka Sheikh. Okay, sale export. I am selling them some garments, 5,000 pieces, and I have to put AED as suppose 50 per AED. Okay, what is the current exchange rate, Amit bhai, which is going? I think it is 20, somewhere
Yeah,
around 20. Rupee 20 per
20
AED.
Yeah, 20.40.
20. Fine. So on 1st of January 2021, I have sent these details. I will not repeat the other things. I've sold goods worth rupees 2,500, 2,50,000 AED dirham. Okay. By the end of 1st March, I received only part of the amount. Okay. F6 received, F2 on 1st March 21, I received from Dubai Ka Sheikh AED 125, right? Which was at, presuming at the Indian rupee became strong at 18 rupees per AED. Against reference, I will put the transaction bill table. Yes, other things are there. Okay. Now, when I go and look at my balance sheet, okay, it shows that unadjusted gain loss is 5 lakhs. How does that come? 5 lakhs come because of this sundry debtors enter Dubai Ka Sheikh, and it is showing that out of the 2 lakh 50,000, 50,000 is there, and there is a loss of 5 lakhs rupees. Okay, we have received only 1,25,000, and the balance 1,25,000 and 2 rupees, suppose for the amount which is not received and 2 rupees for the amount which is received. Okay. I hope I'm clear, Amit bhai. Why it is
Yeah,
showing 5? Because
yeah, it is showing 5.
yeah, because you have made a loss of actual made a loss of 2 rupees per exchange, and for the 125 that you have received, and tally is calculating on its own that the balance you may also not receive at 20, you will may receive it at 18 only. Then because of that it is showing you that loss, okay, of 5 lakhs. 125 into 4. Okay, now assuming that I have done one more transaction. Okay, I'm increasing the complexity. Friends, here it is 8.5. I would require a permission from all of you that yes, we are continuing because we are going to see one or two more beautiful reports from this particular multi-currency aspect, which we may not have it next time. So please give us a approval on the question box that yes, we want to continue.
Yeah, continue, please.
Yeah.
Yes, when
So
I feel
suppose
so,
there is
continue,
one
Puneet.
more transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shwetaji. Yeah, there is one more transaction. You have made a one more sale to Dubai Ka Sheikh, okay, on 15th of March. Okay, in spite of he not giving you full amount, you have made a sale to him, but that sale was not that great. You have just made a sale of 500 pieces. Okay, and again that AED 50 was there per piece, but the rate of exchange at that time of time, 15th March, was not 18, but Amit bhai, can you suggest a rate?
For AED,
20 per
yeah,
AED.
yeah, you can take it as 22 because in the rounding of result will look better.
Okay, okay, okay. So I'm putting it. There was so much exchange rate fluctuation that from 18 in 15 days it went to 22. Can happen to our rupee sometime. Sometimes it is very strong. Sometimes it is one of the weakest creature on the earth. Okay, right. So I will save this transaction. Now let us look at the balance sheet. This was the amount which is received. One second, because it is adjusting it on its own. Let me check. Go and check the display account books. Ledger Dubai Ka Sheikh. Okay, it is not anything exchange gain loss report because we have sold it at 85,000. Okay, let me go and check in my on 31st of March. You feel that the currency has now become at 25 rupees. 31,321, 25 per AD. Okay. Now let us go and check our balance sheet. Right. Here it should have shown the exchange gain loss unadjusted. Just one second. Huh? I will go to 31st of March and I will go to journal. Forex gain loss, Dubai ka Sheikh. One second. Ah, I made a cardinal mistake. You know what? While I created Dubai ka Sheikh, I have activated this US dollar. I should, Amit bhai, any idea why am I not getting my forex currency unadjusted gain loss?
Created this Dubai ka Sheikh ledger in rupees as a base currency. The currency of the Dubai ka Sheikh should have been
Yeah, it is.
AED.
It must US dollar also. US customer also. No, that is not the, I think.
The Dubai ka Sheikh ledger, the base currency
It
is
should get,
come as Indian rupees. It should be AED.
no, no, no,
Just
it is rupee only, which is
this
right, which is not a problem. I don't think so.
this currency should have been AED, isn't it? Currency of the ledger for this Dubai ka
No, no, no,
Sheikh.
no. No, I don't think so because for US customer we also did the same thing. One second, huh? Here we should be getting our exchange gain loss amount of unadjusted exchange gain loss because first, I'm just deleting a transaction for the moment. Yeah, unadjusted gain loss, we are getting it. I've deleted that transaction. I will post that transaction once again with a separate amount. I think it is behaving in a weird way because the moment I enter a transaction, it is removing my exchange gain loss. I don't know. Need to check. Ideally, it should come, but considering that this particular exchange gain loss of 5 lakhs, how do we F7 forex gain loss? And here we select and we can have this unadjusted amount. Okay, we have deleted the transaction friends of the different currency. It was giving me the weird results, so that's why I have deleted it. I'll have to check and come back to you. But nevertheless, suppose we are wanting to close it on 31st March, we can post this unadjusted gain loss of 5 lakhs rupees in the books of accounts. Okay, so that's how we can enter the transaction, and now there is nothing which is unadjusted. So that now there is gain loss of 8,75,000. It is probably because of the partial received and the 25 rupees rate that we have put in. Okay, we'll have to go and remove that rate. Accounts info, currencies, alter this rate. Because of this, it is showing the different amount. One second, friends. Yes. Yep, it is now showing correctly. Right. Okay. Now, one more thing is that suppose we want to see our entire balance sheet in Dubai rate or in US dollar rate. How do we see that? We just click on Alt C. Okay. We say last date of the year, and then either we want to see it in US dollar or we want to see it in AED, whatever rate. Okay. Here we can give the rate, and our entire balance sheet will get posted in a different way. So this was one more option of seeing the balance sheet, or suppose it is. So suppose you get any company, foreign company in dirham, the base currency is in dirham. You can create a column for this. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not getting those foreign exchange gain loss correctly for the additional transaction that we did it. Ideally, when during my practice I was able to get it, I'm not getting it right now, but I will come back to you once again in the future for this. But other than this, this was the last part that I wanted to show. Suppose that there are two or three companies with a different currencies, you can just click on Alt C and then load those companies. Now here I am having one more company of AEDs. Now here if you see, this company demo AED is in Dubai, UAE Dirham. Okay. So I can load both of them together. These are both of them together. Okay. I go to balance sheet. Now this is a company for Dirham. I want to load the company which was in INR. Okay. I select that company, nature of the company, Alt C, name of the company, Alt C. I say I want it in AED. Sorry. Yeah. That's how in UAE Dirham, Alt C, and you can find both of them together. Now, if you want to convert this also in INR, that is also possible. Suppose this $500 is you want it in INR, and this you want to let it remain in rupee only. Then what do? You load this company, you create rupee 15, suppose 20. Now this is a company in INR. Okay, you remove this by clicking Alt D and then creating one more column, selecting the another company and then putting it. So now you get both in INR USD 20 rupees and in INR only. So both of them can be there together. First you will have to create, change the direction of the foreign company and foreign currency company and then the INR company. Okay. So these are the two things that I wanted to show. We have seen this base currency information, books of accounts, for how to send invoice in foreign currency, adjustment of foreign currency gain loss from system, right? So these all things that we have already seen. Amit bhai, any questions as of now?
There are a couple of questions, but they're all pertaining to audit, I believe. Foreign exchange, I'm not in a position to see any questions as of now. No. Foreign exchange, there are no questions.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a system effect or maybe some configuration which I might have missed out, very few chances, but this is something which is there. Anyways, uh, this is the way in which we have seen the foreign currency reporting as well. Now friends, there is one more option which many people say that we do not want to get into the unadjusted gain loss ka jhamela, because it is very confusing, and the way in which while we are running the trial also there was some confusion for it. So how do we ensure that it does not come in my books of accounts, but still we want to do it? So that is possible, but to tell you frankly, that would be possible only by customization, by creating the currency and storing the US dollar or the rupee or the dirham value in a user defined field. Okay, that is the solution that we are suggesting to some of our customers, that you please go for some customization that would not impact your books of accounts at all. So and in that customization you can also ask for the ledger also report to be viewed as in the specific currency, that is US dollar and this thing, or the invoice also to be printed in the foreign currency, but the entire accounting and everything remains in the base currency, that is INR only. So in case you are not wanting to go for that, there is another solution in terms of a small customization that can be done. So that was all from my side. Shweta ji, Amit bhai, please come.
Yeah. It was very nice. Multi-currency was also very nice, Punit bhai. I think it is good to conclude now if all
Yes.
other panelists are okay with it.
Yes, we can close it. Winner, are you there?
Yes, yes, madam.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to express vote of thanks on this seventh day of Delhi Summit 2020. First of all, I immensely thanks to the speakers CA Amit Vaishapamji and CA Puneet Mehtaji for making this webinar more practical on Tele with interesting and meaningful coverage on the topics like internal audit, statutory audit, analytical procedure like comparison between cost, rates, and etc. And also the foreign exchange transactions in Tele and the reportings in Tele by CA Puneet Mehtaji in this seminar today. And the way in which they explained on this particular subject was very clear and up to the point as always. I would also like to thanks to all the enthusiastic 350 plus participants of this webinar. Thank you and stay home and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you. Amit sir, can you end the webinar because you are in the
I will.
organizer?
I
So
will.
you
I
can
will.
close it. Yeah.
I will close. Yeah. I'm just taking saving the question log and chat log. Then I'll close it.
Fine, sir.
Okay. I'm closing it, madam. Now.
Okay, sir.